Finally, some on-the-ground videos have started to come out of Cuba, and it doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good down there. They're in the midst of, well, quite the one-sided armed conflict. I think that's the best way to put it, because, oh yeah, Castro, yeah, he took the guns a long fucking time ago. So these people are fighting back with, like, bottles and rocks because, no, it has nothing to do with the fact that COVID cases are rising and nobody can get the jab. They're sick and tired of communism, and they're sick and tired of not getting any help from anybody. So let's take a look at some of the video that's coming out of this. Cuban protesters began to smuggle videos out of the island at a more rapid pace on Thursday after an internet shutdown showing police, special forces, and plainclothes paramilitary attacking unarmed civilians. Protests erupted in dozens of locations throughout Cuba on Sunday, demanding an end to the communist regime. For much of Sunday, Cubans used their limited access to an internet to flood social media outlets with images showing thousands of people marching in Havana, Santiago de Cuba, Holguín, Camagüey, and other major cities, as well as growing assemblies in rural areas against the regime. In response, the Castro regime shut down access to the internet nationwide, forcing Cubans to resort to finding functional VPNs or smuggling videos out of the country. And this is the kind of regime that the modern day millennials think is just so fucking ideal. Oh yeah, we need central planning for everything, and capitalism is the enemy. Down with capitalism, as they type away on their fucking iPhone, sipping their Starbucks, being supported by every major company out there. But no, they're really the resistance. You gotta believe us, guys, 100%. But yeah, let's read a little bit more about this. The latest round of footage emerging from Cuba shows not just protests, but disproportionate violence by police officers against people who appear unarmed and not participating in any violent behavior. Yeah, if you're out in the streets, there ain't no nuance on this one, okay? Especially for communist police officers. If you're out there and they think you're a threat, yeah, you'd just be thankful that you're gonna get a billy club across the cheeks. Okay, because they'll send you to a place that makes Guantanamo Bay look like a 5-star fucking resort. Take a look at some of this video here. Oh my god. And that must be the police officers. And then you got, yep. Oh no, dudes just hucking rocks. Yep, throwing rocks, throwing bottles, anything that they possibly can to fucking fight against. Wow. Yeah, not a lot going on in that clip, but they're fighting back against something. And it's not like the cameraman can go out there and get a fucking big old wide-angled shot because, yeah, he's just trying to, well, in fact, not get shot. These are the people we should be helping. If we got some kind of a amnesty program, if all the world is supposed to come together and it's supposed to be a big, happy, shiny place, if you're going to be allowing refugees to come into your country where there's actual conflicts happening, I think Cuba probably constitutes that at this point, okay? And I'm not saying give them free reign of everything. Don't give them a pathway to citizenship or whatever other happy horseshit you think about. Or rather, yeah, temporary amnesty. Okay, these are the rules we got to play within. I don't think that that's a terrible program to be having right now. And that's what DeSantis is saying as well. Communist regime fears the truth. Yeah, calls on Biden to assist Cubans. I don't see why not. Either you want open borders or some sort of open border policy down at the southern border between US and Mexico, and you think that you need to help all of these poor, impoverished people who just are trying to seek a better life, but then when they're trying to flee communist nations or places in a time of total political upheaval, no. You guys stay where you are. I don't get it. I really don't get it how you can talk out of both sides of your mouth like that. DeSantis on Thursday doubled down on his call for President Biden to assist Cuban people who are protesting the tyrannical communist regime, urging the White House to help provide internet access following the state-mandated internet shutdown. We are seeing on the island of Cuba people fighting against the communist dictatorship. That is a noble cause. A free Cuba is a noble cause, DeSantis said during a press conference in Miami, Florida, alongside Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez, U.S. Representative Maria Elvira Salazar, and FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr. It's a cause that many of these people have dedicated their lives to, and so we obviously had to stand with the people of Cuba against the communist dictatorship, DeSantis continued. And one of the most effective things we can do as a country, and we need President Biden to step up and make this happen. I spoke with the FCC Commissioner Carr on the phone and can be able to help to be helpful to getting internet back on the island of Cuba. The one thing the communist regime fears the most is the truth. Where's the lie? Where's the lie in that? Because we'll touch on this briefly in the next video, but yeah, other simps for Cuba right now are coming up with some of the most batshit stuff right now. And then you'll just have people domestically who are just going to continue to push for their socialist world, either not make any statements on what is horrifically going down, or just gaslighting the entire situation, saying that it's completely something different that these people are peacefully protesting over. But it's going to be a little bit harder to dispute now that actual on-the-ground journalism is taking place and allowed to be disseminated. Why I'm so passionate about this topic is because I can see the wall starting to close in here in Canada, and I don't want the government to have that much control over my life. I don't want anybody to have this much control over my life. Who the fuck am I talking about here? We should probably extrapolate that out further. Ultimately, the best people who can make the best decisions for yourself is more often than not the person who's standing right in front of you in the mirror. All you need to do is just ask those hard questions. You'll know the answer. You might not want to reconcile with that one, but you know how you're fucking up and you know how you can fix it. It's not like you need your mom or your dad to come rescue from every shitty situation you find yourself in. But that's what these idiots who grew up being told everything that they do is just wonderful and special and nothing that you do can ever be wrong. Fucking degenerates. But yeah, so Biden still hasn't made an announcement on what he wants to do with Cuba other than just stay there. Just stay there. We're here to help from afar. We're not going to define how we're going to help, but we'll get around to it when we find the time. Meanwhile, they're busy fucking laundering people throughout the country. Talked about this when all of this stuff started to kick off. What was that, Sunday night? They're still flying people from the southern border throughout the country. These are the right brown people, apparently. Oh, these are just women and children. You got to look after them. Okay, what's wrong with the Cuban women and children? What's wrong with the people fleeing actual political upheaval? Oh, they eventually vote Republican, so we can't help them out. This is how petty these people are. Okay, I used to think that the easiest way to explain their incompetency was just the fact that they aren't bright enough to do this. But this looks targeted. This looks very calculated. This was exposed on Tucker Carlson apparently last night, something that we've known for a long time, but I guess it doesn't hurt to repeat the claim. President Joe Biden's administration is using the United States Armed Forces to help fly illegal aliens into the interior of the United States, Fox News' Tucker Carlson reveals. On Wednesday evening, Carlson unveiled internal emails in which Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Burrows informs military personnel that commercial planes at Laughlin Air Force Base in East Del Rio, Texas, will board and fly illegal aliens into the U.S. interior. Burrows, Carlson noted, asked personnel to keep the operation from becoming public. Sucks to suck. His show has confirmed that Biden's administration has enlightened the U.S. military secretly around the country, Carlson said. That is happening at Laughlin Air Force Base in Texas. We know it's happening there because a man called Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Burrows sent his subordinates spelling out very clearly. Burrows' emails read, "Over the next few days, weeks, or months, you may see passenger aircrafts on our ramp transporting undocumented citizens." This is the shit that the government is writing. Oh my fucking God. It's lost. It's lost. Please review the attached public affairs guidance on the issue. Burrows' email then instructed uniformed military personnel to hide what was happening on base from a country they've sworn to serve. Carlson continued. This might be a little bit difficult to read, but you'll be able to see it if you click on the link in the description, but I'll just read the highlighted point. Do not take photographs and refrain from posting anything on social media. If anyone asks you about it, refer them to public affairs. And then, yes, it addresses everything that we just read before. So we already knew this was happening, but now we got the receipts, so it doesn't necessarily hurt. And like I said, Democrats are very, very strategic. Got to give it up to them, okay? They always know the optics game. They don't really care when they step on some toes. All they need to do is just make sure that their plan goes straight forward and that they can continue to mind wipe the population. So when I seen this story come up, you had Jen Psaki, who very famously had her little pink Soviet hat on, and you know her previous history is dubious at best. So for her to come out with this statement from the White House, I like it just at a fundamental level, but I know that there's something behind it. And based on everything else that she has said since just January, I don't buy it for 1 second that there's any sort of weight behind these words. Communism is a failed ideology and has led to mass protests. Mass murders is what you were supposed to say, but one step at a time, Jen. One step at a time. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, sorry, it's just fun to call her a pisshead, delivered the Biden administration's strongest signal yet in support of Cubans demonstrating against a ruling regime, describing communism as a failed ideology. I'm sure it burnt just coming out of her mouth because she believes it so fervently. I don't know, maybe she doesn't anymore, but she did. In response to a reporter's question on Thursday, Psaki stated, communism is a failed ideology, and we certainly believe that. But let me tell you about all the vice and virtues of the CCP. Nothing wrong with them now. We need to work closer with them. It has failed the people of Cuba. They deserve freedom. As she said during a briefing, they deserve a government that supports them, whether it's making sure they have health and medical supplies. You just can't give that up now, can you? Of course not, because healthcare is the human right. Unless it's run like the Canadian healthcare system, which sucks. Nothing else, it just sucks. Whether it's making sure they also have access to vaccines, or whether they have economic opportunity and prosperity. Well, that's alright. Nobody's unemployed in a communist dictatorship. Everybody has a place to live in communist Russia. Man, fuck off. This has been a government, an authoritarian communist regime that has repressed its people and failed the people of Cuba. Hence, we're seeing them in the streets. What's their ulterior motive on this one? I don't want to take this at face value. It's a great line. I don't see anything wrong with any of these statements that she's made. I just don't know why this would come out, even though the past few days, ever since Sunday, when there's been regular press conferences, this is the first time she's brought up socialism or communism, okay? This is strategic. I don't know why they're doing this now, but maybe they see that they're just ultimately going to lose this argument, and maybe they have a little bit more intel that the people of Cuba are starting to assemble, and they're starting to be a little bit more effective than previous attempts to overthrow the communist regime. Something like that, but the information direct from the source is very slow and trickling out. All we're seeing is just rock fights in the street and a few burnt out cars. Basically looks like the George Floyd Autonomous Zone. But yeah, another reason why I'm a little bit skeptical that there is anything behind this other than just try to placate the people out there. Oh, finally Biden made an announcement that he's against communism. This is so great. There are some people like that out there, trust me. They'll be popping out of the woodwork. See, communism is stupid. Why would you try to continue to push for it? Because they won't call it communism when they want to try to implement it at your door, knocking around door to door, seeing if you're vaccinated or not, and then putting you on a list. Oh, don't worry, they aren't sticking you in the arm with a fucking needle yet, but they're going to be taking down details. That's just as bad. That's just as bad. And we got this far because people are apathetic to the process. Can't let that happen again, guys. We got to stay on top of this shit. Even as stupid and as redundant as some of these people are. And we're going to have to, unfortunately, talk about Psaki again, because this was from today, and yesterday she had a fucking whopper, but I couldn't work it into anything we were talking about. So let's circle back to that one in the next video. I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.